TSO creator, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, that's what we call them, right? Paul O'Neill said their show was an experiment at first. They wanted to take something that was really conceived for TV and then bring this thing to life on stage.
The response last year was so overwhelming. So Trans-Siberian Orchestra is bringing back the Ghosts of Christmas Eve.
Music director, good friend of ours, lead guitarist Al Pitrelli. Good to see you, Al.
Hi, Al.
It's like having family come back on the Blend every year, isn't it?
As soon as I heard I was coming here, I felt like we were home.
Oh,
Thanks for
felt
having
the
me again.
same way. It's our pleasure.
Can you talk about some of the history of this group? Because you became a part of this group in the 90s, wasn't it?
1995, Paul O'Neill called me up to get involved with the record that he was producing by a band named Sabotage. And on that record was a song called Christmas Eve, Sarajevo, 1224.
Yeah.
And he put the faders up in the studio, and I was like, that's kind of strange, you know, a combination of Carol DeBello's God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, but very heavy, very aggressive. And we recorded it, and next thing you knew, I think it was the #1 requested song in America, winter of '95. I mean, it lit up radio.
It was a hit.
It was huge.
Still is, really.
21 years later.
I remember the first time I heard that song, and it stopped me in my tracks. My hairs were standing on end. I'd never heard anything like it. So to meet you after loving that song, it was kind of this rad full circle, you know.
Yeah, excited.
Like that's what people expect out of you.
It's part of everybody's holiday experience now. It's become a part of your annual tradition.
Well, that's the craziest thing. I mean, as a musician, you hope that you have the opportunity to make records and then go out and do tours and things like that. To have this we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of the release of Christmas Eve and Other Stories. So that success alone is overwhelming. But to have people like yourselves and everybody in this community to turn around and say, you know what, it's not the holidays until we go see your show.
Yeah.
We play your music at, at Christmas dinner, at Thanksgiving dinner. I mean, for me to be part of everybody's family and for you guys to be part of ours, that exceeded all of our expectations with this thing. So it's amazing.
When you put a show together, it's not about one song. It's about an entire experience.
Yeah.
So for our viewers who missed it last year, what are they going to see? And then have you tweaked it at all for this winter?
Well, this year's show is The Ghost of Christmas Eve. This is what we performed last year. It's a story that Paul O'Neill had written about a teenage girl who runs away from home and finds herself in an abandoned theater on Christmas Eve. She's cold, she's tired, she's afraid. She just wants to go home. She doesn't remember what the fight with her parents about. The parents don't remember what that fight was about. She just knows that she's not home. They want her back and she wants to get back. And the brilliance behind Paul's story is that everybody in the audience was able to relate to that character. Everybody misses somebody at Christmas. You guys know we've talked about for many years now. I got 2 kids who are in the armed forces. Every night that Jeff Scott Soto sings This Christmas Day on stage, it really hits home for me because I miss my boys. They're on the other side of the planet doing whatever they're doing. Everybody in the audience misses their mom, their dad, their aunt, or uncle, one of their kids. Somebody misses somebody, And when you look down to the audience during that show and you see the reaction on people's faces, and they saw the reaction of mine because, this isn't something we just wrote and created and just play. This reflects our lives too, 21 years ago, my youngest son, Zach, was born when we did this. He's in the Navy now. Now, my brand new daughter, Layla, is 6 months old, and kind of history just keeps repeating itself. Yet Paul's story is the common thread throughout my life and a lot of other people's lives.
Your live show is incredible. The theatrics, the visual effects, the lights, the fire, the motion. Describe that experience for people out watching this show.
It's like being in the best toy store on the planet. I mean, when I was a kid, we would go see Zeppelin and Aerosmith and Kiss and AC/DC. And we would look up at the stage and go, oh my God, that's the coolest thing we ever seen. And Paul O'Neill swore if ever given the opportunity, he would put more stuff in an arena that's humanly possible. And our poor crew has been there for about 3 weeks now building this set, and every time I get off the airplane at your airport and I drive from the airport, I just say, I ask whoever's driving, just please take me to the arena because I want to walk in. I got to see like 16 or 17 tractor trailers emptied out with just stuff everywhere. I feel like a 16-year-old every day I go to work.
So much effort.
Oh, it's so much fun.
But Al, why the Mid-America Center? If this is your 8th year, right?
I think it is 8 or 9 years,
starting and rehearsing here before you kick off the full tour. What was it about this area and that venue that it was a great fit for Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
We played here maybe, I guess, 10 years ago, and I remember our manager, Adam Wind, and I we had a day off and we were walking around. We went down to whatever the restaurant was in town that we went to, and met a bunch of the people there. The folks at the hotel were really nice. Like, wow, I'd never been to Omaha before. You know, I was like, what are we going to do in Omaha? Well, we had a great time. You know, and the show was at the Mid-America Center. The people there were great, and it's in the center of the country. You know. Prior to that, we were doing production rehearsals down in Florida, and you know, we do the rehearsals, so we kind of got painted into that corner of the country. You know, from here we can go to Salt Lake, we can go to Denver, we can go anywhere we want. And plus, we just, you know, the community's great. You guys haven't thrown us out yet.
No, no. Every year,
Wouldn't dare out. Yeah, wouldn't dare.
every year you hunker down for a couple of weeks getting prepared for this tour. But I want to ask you about something else, because Letters from Labyrinth, you released that, was it last year?
Yeah, last year.
Last year. How's that been received so far?
It was great. We played a bunch of the songs in last year's show. It sold a lot of copies. Again, it's another record that Paul and his partner John Oliva had written that just, you know, keeps these stories coming out. I mean, they're a non-stop writing machine. When we get off this tour, we'll go record another record. Wow. You know, I can't believe that I still have a job.
That's awesome. Well, and speaking back to Heart, let's look at this information so that you know when they're playing in our area. November 17th at 7:30. But Al, one of the things you'll do with this show and all others is donate a healthy portion of proceeds back to charities. Which causes or organizations are you supporting?
Well, we like to get involved with the community because all the communities in America have been so good to us. And again, this goes back to my boss, Paul O'Neill. You know, when we would work in the city, we'd be walking from the studio to a restaurant, to the subway, whatever. He's the one to always stop and you know, there's some homeless person, there's a family in need, somebody needed a cab fare home, he's always reaching in his pocket, handing him a 10 or a 20. That's the man that he always was. This has nothing to do with the band. So we're gonna stay involved with the community, and every ticket that's sold, $1 will go back into the community, because it's the holidays, it's Christmas, and Paul wants to change the world. And he's going to try to do it at $1 at a time.
Over the years, millions of dollars have been donated through this band. And not that they're going to toot their own horn about it, but I think it's really important that as fans and human beings that we understand the choices you're making.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Merry
Al, good
Christmas,
to see you.
okay?
It's so good to see you guys.
Your little baby girl, her first
Yeah,
Christmas.
her first rock show, go figure.
Yeah, no,
I can't wait.
She's going to catch up with you in Atlanta, too. Thanks,
Yeah.
Al.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
It's Soup Season.